Hello, everyone. Sandra Bell McCrory here. I'm your virtual PLC lead for 6 through 12 band, and we are now going to do our final PLC for for this 2020-2021 school year. And so let's jump right in. So let's shut it down. School is out. We've been waiting so long to hear those words, school's out. It's been a rough year, so I'm sure if you're anything like me, you were really happy to hear, let's get this done, let's shut this down. But with that comes a lot of things that your average classroom teacher doesn't have to deal with. So, how do we end the school year with the beginning of the next school year in mind? So, everything that we do at the end of the school year needs to set us up for success for the next school year. And so we're going to go over a few things, just things that we do at my school to help us start the next school year on great on the right foot. Closing out our inventory, storing our instruments, instrument cleaning and repair, and preparing the space for next events. So let's jump right in. The first thing we'll talk about is inventory. I'm going to give you a few little tips. Um, Some tips about inventory: know what you have, know exactly what you own as a band program, know what you're missing, know what's not in your band room, what you're supposed to have. You have to know that first before you can know what you're missing. Have a database to keep it all organized and get assistance with tracking down instruments. Your counselors are going to be your best friends. They can get in there, and a lot of times they'll have alternative phone numbers and really creative ways to track students down during the summer if you're having a difficult time doing so. So I made a little quick video for you. I hope you enjoy it. Hi there, Dr. Bill McCrory here. We're going to talk a little bit about instrument inventories and how to really keep those organized. So we are going to move to our screen here so that you can see what we have. So what we use a certain type of program here, but you can use any program that allows for spreadsheets that you like. Keeping all of the instruments inventoried is really important. We also give them codes, and so that we know which one is flute 1, flute 2, flute 3, and the cases are numbered. Then we write down exactly who checked it out and when it has been returned. So as you can see, we have a pretty big inventory. We're really lucky here. And we haven't done all of our returns, but we've done some of them. And you can see that instruments that we borrow, we make sure that we put it in a different color. Instruments that may have gone out to a student or are coming back for repair are typically going to be bright yellow. That one's about to go out for repair and it just got checked in. And then these are borrowed instruments. This instrument needs to go in for repair and we are in contact with that student to bring it back. So these different colors mean different things. And this is an unidentified instrument. We can't figure out where this instrument is, so it is in a pale color. So we're all on the lookout for this instrument. We always have the serial numbers here and also have the condition of the instrument. So as you can see, we keep a pretty good record of things, and we've created another sheet so we can have all of our instruments that are going out for repair on that sheet. So, and you'll see we sometimes have commentary here as we're getting ready to maybe retire an instrument and get rid of it, or we need to make sure that it gets some immediate love. We'll put really specific information there so that we can send that to our admin in case we've run out of a little money. So I hope this helps you. I hope that you find a way to keep your instrument inventory really organized. And we also have a separate inventory for percussion instruments. And we have a whole nother process just like this, identical to this, that we use for repair, tuning, care, replacement, all of that with just percussion instruments. So I hope this helped you. Good luck. Happy end of the year. Bye. Okay, so I hope that helped. Just a little, tidbit. And just FYI, that video was taken while I was doing just that inventory and cleaning the room and storage. So I look just a little bit busted, but that's okay. That's how we look on those days when we're there working and no one else is in the building. So, why is it important to keep your instruments organized and have a very organized inventory? If you take the time to organize the inventory, you'll ensure that your equipment is ready to go for the following year. So if you know what you have, you know what's missing, you know what needs to be repaired, you keep it all very organized. It also allows you to make the case for we need more of this because you can clearly say, this is what we have. I'm very sure of this is what we have. This is what we need because these are the number of student instruments that we need because this is our enrollment. It makes it much easier to um, advocate. So you're keeping always keeping the start of the school year in mind, because our goal for each start of the school year is just to engage the students and get them locked in as fast as we can, and just grab them and don't allow them the space to get bored. So instrument storage. Honestly, my least favorite thing to do outside of recruitment. But this is a really tedious task, and I don't mind it, but it is just a lot. When you have a large inventory, we're very lucky, like I said, to have a large inventory. You do have a lot of very tedious work that you have to do at the end of the year to make sure that those instruments are ready to go. So, again, I made a little video here. I hope you enjoy it. And again, I look tired, but that's exactly what I was doing that day. I'm going through each and every case. So here we go. Hello, Dr. Belle McCrory here. Okay, so we're just going to talk a little bit about how to store instruments for the summer. And everyone has their own way of doing things, but I'm going to talk you through just a couple of things that will apply to all of your different instruments. So for brass instruments, first things first, this instrument originally had a stuck mouthpiece when it came in. And so the first thing I do is I open it up, I make sure there's nothing in there. Most of the time, we'll take the instrument out and the mouthpiece out and sweep out the inside of the case to get all of this like little debris and dust and all of that out. I won't do that right now. But the next thing we'll do is we'll take the mouthpiece away and we'll put it with the other mouthpieces, and we'll talk about that in a sec. And then we make sure that all of the valves are working. If they're a little stiff and a little tight, we go ahead and oil them. We make sure that all of the slides move. They're a little stiff, we go ahead and take them off, clean them a little bit. And if this is a non-chem clean year, we will sometimes just give them all a bath. Really simple. Get the student leadership to do that and help you with that. Also, we make sure that there's nothing else in the case except for the instrument, and we keep all of the mouthpieces separate from the instruments. Why is that? Sometimes they fall out of this little space and they get stuck in the bell, or they just bang around. Same thing with taking out slides. Some people take the slides out so they don't get frozen. That's why we go ahead and oil them before we put them away. Because if you take the slides out, you put them in a baggie, sometimes they just jostle around inside the case and can cause a little damage. So that's the first thing. Close it back up. Gets a green dot. It's ready to go for next year. Woodwinds. The biggest issue with woodwind instruments is typically going to be they're going to bring them back with something in the case. Let's see what fun surprises we have inside of this clarinet case. All right, so we see that we've got a little looseness here. They've been so kind as to put the mouthpiece back in here. We take the mouthpiece and the ligature, and we take it and we put it away. We probably won't ever use this mouthpiece again. We buy them yearly as consumables because who wants to use someone else's mouthpiece? Girls. So we'll see a lot of times they'll leave a used reed or maybe even a brand new reed. There's no way to know. So what has to happen to this? Follow me. There, trash can. So then we make sure that all of the keys are seating. We also have our instrument repair tech come in. I also have the students bring in a mouthpiece, and sometimes they will sit and play, test the instrument. Some of leadership will come in and do that and make sure that things are working. This instrument is fine. It was repaired right before the end of the school year, so it doesn't have to go in. So the next thing that we do is we leave cases open for a little while so that they can breathe. And we want to make sure that all of any allergens or anything that's in the case can dissipate before we close the case down. Once we're done, close the case. Green dot is ready to go for next year. This is not ready to go for next year. We got to change that because that has to be replaced. So I'm just going to take this green dot off. There we go. So now with flutes, a lot of times what I find with my flute players is they forget what I tell them and they'll leave like a cleaning cloth or something inside the case on top of the flute. If you find that in a flute that someone brings back to you, take that out and throw it away. That cleaning cloth pushes on the keys. There's only enough space, as you can see here, for the flute and the flute only. So we make sure we try to tell the kids not to put those cleaning cloths in there anyway. But if they do leave it, take it out, discard it, get rid of it, make sure the tuning rod is there, close it, green dot it, it's ready to go for next year, push to the side. Now, I told you we talk about mouthpieces. Most of the time we don't use these, but in the event we want to use one again, if it's lightly used and we need an emergency mouthpiece, we will use our handy dandy sanitizer here and we'll put it in for 3 rounds. So we'll put all of the mouthpieces in for 3 rounds of sanitization, and it's just a UV light sanitizer. We do the same thing with our brass mouthpieces. We do 3 rounds in the sanitizer and then we boil them in a gentle solution. Just water and just a dash of some kind of cleaning solution. It doesn't really matter. Nothing real frothy. And we'll just boil them for a little while, let them cool, rinse them, and then we bag them individually. So if they're in this baggie, the kids know that this is a cleaned mouthpiece. And if they are in need of a mouthpiece, they know to only go to the baggied mouthpieces. These are awaiting cleaning. These have been cleaned and they're ready to go. I hope that helped you a little bit. Oh, same thing with ligatures. Ligatures go in to the sanitizer 1 round. That's it. And that's for both clarinet, saxophone, bass clarinet, all the reed instruments have the same thing. We buy these for our students so that they can all have a step-up mouthpiece and step-up ligature. And we keep these. The ligatures we keep as long as we can, and we just sanitize them every year. I hope that helped you a little bit with instruments that don't have to go in for repair. We'll talk again about instruments that do need to go in for repair and how to manage all of that. All right, thanks. Bye. Okay, so why is it important to personally or delegate that job to make sure that the instruments are stored properly? And it's really simple. If instruments are not stored properly, you can face some instruments that need TLC in the fall because of improper storage, frozen slides, bent keys, all of those types of things. Working smarter, not harder. So you don't want to give yourself more to do at the start of the school year. You want all of those instruments ready to go for the next school year. So always doing everything with the beginning in mind. All right, so just talking a little bit, I told you we talk a little bit about instrument repairs and cleaning. And so it's just a little different now because we do face new challenges. A new focus on cleaning and sanitization and making sure that instruments are as clean as possible. We have to have a plan for cleaning instruments as well as repairing them. So making sure that we have built in practices that will allow for instruments to air out, making sure that keys are clean, making sure that mouthpieces are clean, making sure that everything is clean. with every instrument that students are given to use from the school. If you are someone like me that is not well versed in instrument repair, that's just not something that I ever really got into. Lean heavily on your instrument rep, your music store rep. They will help you. They are happy to come out and figure out what really needs to go in, what can be done on site, and lean on them. They're going to get that business of taking your instruments in for repair, and it's a pretty big bill. So they'll be happy to help you decipher which ones to send in. Most of them were band directors or orchestra directors in a former life, and so they understand that we need that help. So when I think of instrument repair and cleaning, I frame it in a different way. It's not just about functionality. It's also about creating a safe environment and an equitable environment. Um, and so when we can ensure that each student will play on a clean and functional instrument, we provide students and parents a feeling of certainty and safety. There's enough there are enough things facing parents now, with students being in school, that will cause anxiety. We don't want to add to that. We want to make them feel comfortable and safe, and that we care about their children's health and safety just as much as they do. And it also allows us to create a band room that is equitable. And the equity piece is really important for me because I do work in an area that there are a lot of low income students, and we provide a lot of instruments, not just the large ones, but small ones as well. So we want to make sure that students feel that whether they play a personal instrument or a school instrument, they have a functional, clean instrument for class. They matter. And everyone is on the same plane. We're setting kids up to have an equitable band experience. So it's really important. All right, so preparing the space. A lot of times we forget about this part and we get everything done and we've got all our instruments out in the middle of the floor, ready for the repair guy to come and pick up. And you remember, ooh, we have an event coming up. And the day before, the repair guy is coming. So I should not have done that. I should have waited. We're going to talk about that. So I'm going to take you on a little journey through my packed, full of stuff band room, um, and just having to take 19 years to figure out how to work smarter, not harder, and not reconfigure my room 30,000 times. So here we go. Hi, Godot community. Dr. Belle McCrory here. So we talked in my presentation just a little bit about how to ready your space for the next event. So if you're a high school band director like me, there's always going to be something going on in the summer. So the next event that is happening is actually drumline and color guard auditions in this space. And so what we did from our last event, which was instrument drop-off, so we got really creative with how we put things away so that we didn't have to scramble and work really hard to get the space cleared for our drumline and color guard auditions. So follow me. So one thing we did was we split up the instruments. And as you can see in here, these are all instruments that need to be examined. They've been checked in. They need to be looked over, examined, and tagged. These are new instruments that we've received. And so we put all of this stuff in here. Once the color guard and drumline auditions are done, the students will then take all of these instruments, bring them out into the band room. We will have cones set up for each type of family: flutes, clarinets, all of the big woodwinds, all of that, low woodwinds. And then we will have those set up around the room. Once we know the room is empty, the students that are here for the auditions will bring those out, put them in the right place, and we're ready for our next event, which is Playtest Day, which is next week. So come with me. We did the same thing with chairs. So we stacked chairs here in the corner that we know we won't be using. And then we took our partitions that we use for COVID regulations and precautions, and we put them in here along with a lot of our large instruments that are good and they don't have to go in for repair. So we store them here. So all the students will have to do is bring out any chairs that we need, which will only be about 10. So we didn't leave all of our chairs out. We did the same thing with our stands, put them all on the racks because we won't need that many stands. They'll only need to do one rack of stands. You have a few out. And then in here, we brought all of our low voice instruments, our low brass instruments. All of these instruments are going into the shop. So the students will take these out and bring them out into the band room in the right place. Same thing in this room. Our low instruments, our low woodwinds that need to go are on this shelf along with a few flutes and clarinets. So they're all on these wooden shelves. We brought in chairs that we won't need and our drum major ladder because we're done with that. We finished that. And so we cleared the space so that the drum line and the color guard could have nice, clear spaces to work in. And then they are going to help us set up for next week's play testing and instrument repair setup. So I hope that helps you a little bit. For you middle school directors, it may be a little bit different. They may be using your room for study, like study sessions, for summer school, for professional development. You just never know. So make sure that you get clued in to what's going on in your room so that you can prepare the space, because you don't want to set up for one thing, they come in, mess up your setup, and you don't know what's happening. So just make sure you stay clued in as to what's going on in your space, and then get the kids to help you set up for the next event. I hope this helped. All right, happy end of the year. Bye. All right, so yeah, preparing your space for what's coming next is really important. Deep cleaning, that is the biggest one that has tripped me up for the past years. I don't know how many. I always forget about it. I always forget it's coming. I always forget that the plant services department and our custodial staff are coming in. Takes a team to clean that big old room. And I always forget it's coming and I leave stuff out and I'm not supposed to, and I always forget. And there may be instruments on the floor and they want to clean the carpet and I always forget. So this year I made a chart for myself and broke down what we're doing each week so that I was clear, and I went over it with our lead custodian so she knows exactly what is happening, and she's going to keep me in check to remind me of stuff as well. So if you talk to your custodians about when they need to come into your room to clean and clean carpets and all of those types of things, whatever it is, waxing floors, all of that, talk to them, and maybe bring them a little thank you card, because they work really hard to keep our schools beautiful. And so you treat them well, and treating them the way, we treat anyone else that is a colleague is so important, because the work that they do is important and is essential. So don't forget that. Um, be sure to give them your summer schedule so that they can know what days you will be in the room with students so that there's no overlap there. If you're having summer events, figure out who's using the space when, set the space up accordingly so that it's ready to go for that event. And then it's nothing wrong with leaving a chart for when this event is over. Let's make sure that it's set up for this. Knowing who's going to be in your space during the summer is always really important, because if you need to secure items or things like that, you don't want people to knock over or whatever, or move or touch, then be sure to secure those items. Know who's coming into your room, and talk with your administration about their plans for your classroom over the summer. Band rooms are large spaces, so a lot of times they'll use our spaces for professional development, um, different camp groups or whatever. That's not a big problem now because we're not doing a lot of camps, but it used to be a problem. So my space was kind of off limits all the time because we were using it all through the summer, throughout June and July. So there's no way for us to keep to allow others to come into our space. And it can save you a lot of time and energy. So trust someone that has struggled with this and is also very uptight about my space and how it looks and everything. Yeah, It really does. It really does help to know what's just map out what's going to happen in your room so that you're working smarter, not harder. And it's just really important. It's really important to just keep up with what's going on. Keeping up with how you will use the space during the summer and beyond helps to keep you organized, and it cuts down on anxiety. If you're someone like me that likes to know exactly what's happening and likes things to be just so, I'm not someone that likes to set up right before an event. I like to set up the day before so that if I change my mind the morning of, it's less work. So, um, but yeah, I keep saying it, work smarter, not harder. Have the students set up for the next event at the end of the previous event, and this will allow you to maximize your summer break time. We need it this year, y'all. It's been a rough year. All right, so the next thing that we do at the end of the school year, and I say we a lot because I do have an assistant band director, so we do a lot of these exercises together, and it's really important to do that. But the year that I was on my own, I still did this. And so at the end of each school year, we reflect on certain things. The first thing we talk about, what was successful? What made it successful? Why did the success happen? And how can we apply that success next year? So, how can we use the things that worked really well moving into next year? And this is a really important thing for us to talk about this year because next year is so integral to jump starting and recreating um, band right now because we have an opportunity to make it even more meaningful. And I think having this year of totally unconventional band has made us all appreciate the beauty of band and appreciate our time a little more. So figuring out what works really well and what can go away. What can go away that's not necessary, that doesn't aid in that success. And success, in my opinion, is when the kids walk away feeling that they've done something meaningful. And yeah, so that's one of the big things that we've been doing, and we kind of do it constantly. Every time we meet, we talk about what went well, but we also talk about what didn't go well. Some things did not go well, and that's just a part of it. Some things don't go well, and some things are an absolute dumpster fire, but that's okay because we get a shot at trying it again and making it work. And why didn't it go well? We have to ask ourselves that question. Um, and if you are someone that says your first instinct is to basically say it was the kids or it was this or that, I am just going to caution you. I guarantee you, if it didn't go well, is probably something we did as the adults, um, and we could have made it better. So, um, always look at yourself first because that's the thing you can change. You can't control COVID. You can't control the kids. You can't control parents. You can't control policies, right? In a direct, an immediate way, but you can control what you do. So always go to you first. And then how can we make sure that we plan effectively for the future? So trying to use the lessons we learned this year to make next year better. So, did we create our instructions so that all of our students were successful? And I can guarantee you, most of us are going to say no. But did we try? And that's the first thing. Did you try? Did you really try hard to make sure that every student got what they needed? And had the opportunity for success. Did every student take advantage of that? No. What can you do to make sure that even more students next year strive for success and want it? Not just do it because their parents are making them, but really strive for success because they want to be successful. So finding the way to intrinsically motivate your students is a big thing for me, and it's a constant journey. 19 years and I still haven't completely figured it out, and that's okay. Gives me something to do, right? All right. And then did we meet our personal and professional goals this year? We both set goals at the start of every year. And then at the end, we say to each other, did we meet those goals? And we give each other commentary on what we saw from the other. Um, and then you have to examine why you did or why you didn't. You have to ask yourself those questions and you need to be honest with yourself. Um, a lot of times, mine is, I don't want to admit that maybe I stretched myself too thin, or maybe over I overdid it with how many events we were going to do or how many things we were going to do. Um, and then sometimes it's just enough. And so I'm constantly having to evaluate why I met the goal, why I didn't meet the goal. Um, so yeah, I would highly advise you to just sit and have those conversations. And it's always really helpful to ask a very close friend, a colleague, um, your spouse, your life partner, what do you see? What am I doing that why do you think I didn't meet this goal? Or what did you see from me this year? There's nothing wrong with getting that commentary as long as that person's not toxic. But yeah, if you trust them and you trust what they say, it's nothing wrong with asking those questions. And sometimes it's hard to hear, but it makes us grow. Yeah. All right. So just to wrap up here, my favorite graphic ever, schools out for summer. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So just a few thoughts about summer and how we're going to try to use it this year. All of us, we're going to commit. We're going to try to do this. Use the summer to reset. Um, just take a minute, take a beat, and just push the reset button because we need it this year. It's been a rough year. Map out your first grading period. So after you have reset, you have regrouped, you have, gotten yourself all together, and you're ready to start looking forward. Map out that first grading period, keeping your goals in mind. And once you've done that, then you get all the materials that you will need for that first grading period. You figure out how you're going to use those materials. You do everything you need to do to get all of that stuff ready. You make a plan A, B, and C for repertoire. So for each band that you are standing in front of that will play repertoire in the first 9 weeks, you will pick up, this is my program. This is my program A, program B, program C. And then you pick from those three according to where they're moving and what they need from you and what they need to work on. You start putting those pieces together and you build your program for your first concert. And don't forget about music theory. Work music theory in very, very early. It will in turn make your life as the director easier and make their lives as the students more enjoyable. They will enjoy music more if they understand it better. Okay. And also plan your work life balance. This is something that I'm going to work on. How will you take care of yourself throughout that first 9 weeks of the school year? And for high school folks and some middle school folks that work on staff at different high schools, this is really important. How are you going to balance your life and your work? How are you going to take care of yourself through that first 9 weeks? That first 9 weeks is brutal. That first 9 weeks is brutal. You come off of band camp and you just don't stop. So, what are you going to do to ensure that you and your students are taking care of themselves through that first 9 weeks? So use this summer to just kind of hit the reset button and figure out what you need to sustain as a teacher. All right. So if you have any questions or if you want to add any um, tips and tricks and all of that stuff, we would love to hear from you. And so reach out to the Godot Communities Band Discussion Board. We would love to hear your ideas. And then finally, check us out on all the social media platforms, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the things. We're out there. Get to know us. And we really hope to see you next year for even more vibrant discussions about this whole 6 through 12 band thing and trying to figure it out together. So thank you for your time this year. I've really enjoyed my time with you, and I look forward to a brand new year next year. Make sure you reset and have a great summer. See you. Bye bye.